Recouped presents Fink, It Isn't Until It Is. Written and read by Fink.
Chapter 1, 2004. Journey to the Crossroads. Each of our personal journeys that led us to the very first Fink rehearsal on December the 14th, 2004. A melting pot of musical influences, of bands both accidental and deliberate, of failed opportunities, victims of own successes, and Brighton reboots.
Before I got to college in the early 1990s, music was just something I was really into. Skateboarding through my youth in the skate parks of Bristol and the supermarket car parks of the suburbs had introduced me to the concept of having a soundtrack to life. On the ghetto blasters at the ramps and parks, it was all Anthrax and Metallica, and I got it, the energy and the masculine aggression, but it was nothing more than a great soundtrack to a teenage lifestyle. The videos we would watch were all sun-drenched California, blurry VHS copies of skate classics like Animal Chin, Savannah Slammer, and Wheels of Fire introduced us to heroes of our own age and the music of skate culture. Everyone was tanned, it was never autumn or winter, the late 80s colours screamed out at you, pinks and mauves and yellows, all to a punk soundtrack that wasn't the drizzly grey safety pins and Anarchy in the UK we had grown up with. It was something else. It was ours, or rather theirs, and I wanted it. There was no future in skateboarding back then. Your greatest reward would be the admiration of teenage boys and the fact that you had survived the concrete skate parks and rickety homemade half-pipes without breaking every bone in your body. The irony, and perhaps the ultimate beauty of my relationship with all this, my first subculture, was that I was the least talented guy on a deck ever born, and the fractures and breakages added up to prove that. I remember a doctor at the BRI, Bristol's main hospital, just rolling his eyes at me, looking out at his waiting room full of young boys all clutching broken wrists or fractured arms or dislocated shoulders, all wearing Ocean Pacific or Jimmy Z, many still with their knee pads on, fresh from the skate park on a Saturday, and talking like a battle-weary Médecins Sans Frontières medic, patching up the kids only to see them in a few months' time with something else hanging off or sticking out. The only inconvenience for us was a cast and a moody parent, the dream of finally nailing that trick hanging thick in the air. Bristol was a rad place to grow up. Pirate radio filled the air with early hip-hop, reggae, funk, acid house, and later rave, techno, and garage. The club scene that my friends and I would frequent was epic. Small clubs like the Moon Club, the Thekla, and Tropic would introduce us to music when played loud. Club culture was coming of age all around us, and every night I would record John Peel on my tape recorder in my bedroom. I think he was on at 10 p.m. to test the BBC's new FM transmissions, and listen to the show, or 45 minutes of the show, one side of a C90 cassette that my dad would get free from the local garage for putting a tiger in the tank, on the way to school, on the school bus. I was waiting for a guy called Gerald or Adamski, but John Peel snuck in Afrobeat, punk, new wave, indie, Zambian, The Cure, The Smiths, Aswad, new romantic, speed metal, and even spoken word. I was getting a well-rounded education in underground sounds without even knowing it. I hit college having done the backpack thing pretty hard, which had really opened my eyes. The soundtrack on the Greyhound buses of North America was just a few cassettes, R.E.M. on one side, Joni Mitchell on the other. And something about travelling and how easy it actually was really changed me. It changed how I looked at everything. I no longer wished to make money. Or if I did, it was simply to buy another ticket, to extend the travelling from 3 months to 4 months. I realised you only needed one pair of shoes. I realised the world was a big place, but if you didn't mind sleeping in a tent, you could really get around.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?